Good morning, YouTube. It's Appy85 here on my morning commute to my day job. So today's daily vlog, I filmed a vlog yesterday and I haven't had a chance to edit and upload it. I'm not sure if I will, but today's vlog is going to be about what I wanted to vlog about yesterday. I wanted to vlog about being positive, how thoughts become things, using affirmations. And what's interesting, or what I really wanted to talk about, is a revelation I came to some years ago, is that before even reading the book, The Secret, which I didn't read it, my ex-husband read it, and before knowing about The Secret or The Secret movie, I was practicing elements of The Secret and universal law. And I thought about it. I was like, you know, we've all, if you're spiritually inclined at all, you know, you grew up in any religious setting or spiritual setting, you were kind of taught different universal laws. You reap what you sow is one. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. As one thinketh, so it shall become, or something like that. Those are all universal laws. Thoughts become things. You reap what you sow. The law, the universal law of polar opposites. Kind of what goes up must come down. Those are all universal laws. And that's how I came to the conclusion that The Secret or anything like that, it all has a creator base, or a starting point of a base. Now, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, it all follows the same rule, that there's something bigger or greater than us. There's something of greater power than us, and we have to submit and trust and have faith in that, the faith of a mustard seed, and let go, and then those things that we desire will come to us. So, and this is all completely unscripted. I'm not looking at any notes. So that's why things are kind of fragmented. If I had, I have a universal law or affirmations binder at home that I put together over the years of little things that help me kind of stay focused. So anyway, back to what I found. So I don't remember if I was packing up, moving, or cleaning up, but I found this spiral notebook. It was red, and I've always loved to write. I've always felt like writing was my strong suit, and so I've always loved to write. And I found in this spiral, as soon as I opened it up, it took me back to a time, actually back to 1999 and 2000. I was in my 20s. I think I was in my late 20s though, but anyway, and I was reading through this spiral notebook, and I listed things that are going to sound very funny and simplistic to you, but I was living in a time where I was a single parent. I was waiting tables, and I was living in a fourplex that had that was occupied by a lot of people that were living similar to me, or that were worse off than me. Okay, so the first thing that I wrote was I wanted a cell phone with an unlimited plan. I didn't want a prepaid cell phone. I didn't want a pay-as-you-go cell phone. That was the first thing I wrote. And the second thing I wrote was that I lived in a home. I didn't write I owned a home. That's where I messed up. But I wrote that I lived in a home. The third thing I wrote was that I had a real job. And that's how I wrote it. I wrote I had a real job and I had my own office. And I can't now, because I found this years ago, and now I'm talking about this years ago, but something I saw yesterday brought it up. So I can't remember. There were other things I wrote, but those are the things that stood out to me and that stayed in my memory bank that I wrote. And at the time that I found it, I was about to move out of this 4-bedroom house I had been living in for 3 years. I was working as an executive assistant to a certified financial planner, and I had my own office. I had a cell phone plan with Sprint for myself and for my niece. A whole nother video. I think one of the things I wrote was like I had a car with a third brake light, I think. And I did have a car with a third brake light. Now, I didn't understand the laws of attraction. I didn't understand that thoughts became things. I just wrote all the time. I'm a doodler. I write. I'm very listicle. And somehow or another, from some place, I derived that I needed to write my story or my life the way I needed to tell my story the way I wanted it to be. And I wrote these things down. Now, when I read it, I remembered exactly what place I was in when I wrote them down. I was still living in a fourplex in a not so great area. And it wasn't the same fourplex I had described. I was in a different one. So everyone around me was at home all day long because they all lived on disability or checks or something like that. I was one of the few people that worked. When I wrote this, I had a car, but it was broken down. When I wrote this, there would be no, and I had a prepaid cell phone that most of the time was off. And so when I found this, I had all these things, and then I was about to move from that home into another home that I was, a fourplex that I was going to rent. And when I was reading that, I was like, wow, this really works. I should have said I owned my own home. I should have said I owned my own business. But the point was that it worked. And this was before I even understood the law of attraction, thoughts become things, before I had any awareness. And so I said all of that to say is be mindful of the things that you tell yourself, the things that you say to yourself, the thoughts that you have. I was always very negative, largely in part because I was always told negative things about myself. Our paradigms are created but not created, if you'll allow me a little room here. Our paradigms just are. They're created by someone outside of us, typically. We're born into a set of paradigms. So I had nothing to do with the fact that from infancy I was told that the negative about me was focused on rather than the good about me. That's just what those around me were accustomed to, and that paradigm was probably driven by a paradigm that was created by those that were around them. You become a product of your environment, which is why I try to stay positive, and it's not easy. So knowing this, and this was long after I wrote that list, and after I understood affirmations and universal laws, I decided that I was going to take the one thing that I did love to do, which was write, and the one thing that I was fairly good at, which is write. My lips are super chapped. And I decided I was going to fix my negative thoughts about myself. And I really wasn't sure how to do that. But I just decided to write over and over and over again. Kind of like when you were in school and in trouble. Like, I will not talk in class, I will not talk in class. That's what I did with my negative thoughts. I was like, but I wrote the opposite of them. And I did that for days on end. I would do it all day long. And when I would be riding in the car, I'd be saying whatever it was that I was trying to brainwash myself into believing. I am beautiful, or I am smart, or I am an office manager, things like that. Like, I kept doing that. And then I stumbled across, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos about this subject and reading different books. And I was reading Think and Grow Rich. And I read that I should be doing exactly what I was doing. And I thought, wow, I was doing what I should be doing without even knowing it. But I should flip the page over whenever a negative thought that countered what I was writing. Whenever a negative thought that countered what I was writing came into my head, I should flip the page over and write that. I never did that because for me, I felt like that would be reinforcing that negative too much. And so I never did that. I just continued to write what it is I wanted, or tell my story the way I wanted it to be. And that has just always continued to work for me. I mean, just over and over and over in countless instances, that has worked for me. And so I just wanted to make a video to encourage you guys to be positive, to be good to yourself, to be kind to yourself, to use kind words when you're talking about yourself or your situation. Because thoughts do become things. The things that you say do have power. And that's what I just wanted to say. I'll end this video with one of my favorite mantras from Bill Proctor. And it goes like this. It's, money comes to me in increasing quantity through multiple sources on a consistent basis. Money comes to me in increasing quantity through multiple sources on a continuous basis. When I first found this mantra, I found it on YouTube, and I looped it, and I put it on my phone, and I would plug it into my radio, and I would listen to it the whole time I was in the car. And eventually I just memorized it. And I started doing the same type of thing with other things. Like, there was a position that I wanted. I applied for an office manager position. And so I just over and over and over, and again in my car would say, you know, I'm so thankful and grateful that now I'm an office manager at, and I said the name of the company, and I was like, and I earned $24 an hour. And at the time, I had never made more than like $17 an hour. And I said that over and over and over and over again. And I would only break that up with money comes to me in increasing quantity if I got bored. And it worked. I got the job. Be careful what you wish for. I hated that job, but I got it. I did not earn $24 an hour. I earned $22 an hour. And that's something else I learned. That I've always since then overshot what I wanted. And I will always do that because I've noticed I don't ever get exactly what I want on that dime. You know, so if I say I want 100K, I probably end up with 97 or 95K. So I overshoot. But it does work. It's very, very hard to undo the damage, if you will, from years of being negative or a lifetime of being negative. That's where writing positive things about yourself comes into play. You almost have to put in the same amount of effort that you did to tear yourself down to build yourself up. But that makes sense, doesn't it? So anyway, that's all I wanted to share. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, rate, and comment, and stay tuned. Thanks so much. Be blessed.